Abusia minchia na misanso mo akwa basonko so emfa wemra ye be media GH so akwai say yura ye 2025 His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ye de eye oman e de share papa yi ense eye de a this woman aye friend no Chief Justice Gertrude Tokunu abusia mami trendy ye pa enye easy ni na say some petitions bi atumi akọ eye the office of the president His Excellency wa chese omo echira John Mahama embo modina so besaki eye mami for the past months Ghana for ehwe ne mu say ombete ensem e di afa eye mami ne saki ne ho yekoda esowe ye nyeti an say yesi mami eyade a ye papa His Excellency John Dramani Mahama atumi a suspend mami na the suspension no enama sisi amne wekase the minority eye the MPP almost see ombohodu eye press conference kase. Now, after press conference, Kaseno Babe Hodu, a the suspension of a year, Yemami, a Chief Justice Honabusia, Omubi Chira, a dear demonstration Kasiepa Ebekoso, because a choir, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Eddie a Yemamino, a fasono, a unconstitutional, process, and I idea His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, or to me, a year Chief Justice. Edi afasun ti ombe ko eye demonstration kase pa edi atia eye His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ene na ban na ade a the Chairman General Asiedu Nketia ba bonten ono so de nsem edi aba na nsem a odi aba ni na necessity no ade a Chief Justice yenya yi ni free eye akonwa so say king the next person a ye ba na so eye EC Jean Mensah any Dr. Bosman Asari any EC officials no omo next nti so omo pa ene omo sha asese omo embo omo kete no omo sesa omo nyoma enko enyesa nkwase kase pa na eba beto omo abusua ha eda so ye be media GH bomodi aso be subscribe my notification bell no so omo podcast update yam ko ne kuti nsema ba beto ja efa the suspension of EC Chief Justice ene EC asese omo honsem ababeto jasa omo na omo next yanko ne kweti nsem nimu yanka sanchiro mu asese a yadase.
And one of the alarm bells rang for me when President Akufo-Addo actually went to the extent of appointing PROs for state institutions. I mean, it just killed me completely. Right now, the process has gotten to the third stage. Okay. The president referred the matter to the Council of State. Indeed, the Chief Justice was given a 10-day opportunity to respond to the petition. I think it's also been forwarded to the Council of State. The Council of State has decided that there's a prima facie case. Following that, the president has set up the 5-member committee according to the provisions of the Constitution. 2 judges, one of whom must be chairperson, and 3 persons who should not be lawyers, who should not be members of parliament, and who should not be ordinary citizens, and so on. I think what the president has done is constitutional and needs to be respected. The president also has taken the provisions of the Constitution seriously, which allow him to suspend the Chief Justice whilst the investigations are going on. Okay? And it makes a lot of sense for the Chief Justice to be suspended. Because if the Chief Justice is not suspended, what if matters related to the case are filed at the Supreme Court? Is she the person going to empanel them? It raises all kinds of complications. So she herself must understand why she cannot continue to be Chief Justice while these matters are being heard. Now, I want to be very honest about what has happened. I know at least one of the judges on this 5-member committee. And I can say with certainty, somebody I've known for 40 years or more, that is upright, honest, sincere, and is not likely to be swayed by political influence. I know his one person, and I can vouch.
We know who you are referring to.
Well, I haven't mentioned any name. If you know, it's even better. But I can vouch for his integrity. Okay. Now, a lot of people have said that Mr. Domelevo sent a case to the Supreme Court. In their view, it was not handled expeditiously and he lost his job and so on. I happen also to know Mr. Domelevo. Happen to know him fairly well. And unless he has changed, he would not be swayed by personal considerations. I am 100% sure that he would not be swayed by personal considerations. There are others that I don't know, but I don't have to know all of them. And indeed, it is not my judgment of the personalities which is important. It is the public perception, and indeed, it's the integrity which is at stake.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we will be sure about what decisions they make and would interpret those decisions in the light of what we know.
Okay.
Because even at the end of the process, we will still not know what the allegations against the Chief Justice were.
True.
Even at the end of the process, we will still not know.
Yeah.
So on what basis are we going to make those crucial judgments as to whether she has been treated fairly or not treated fairly?
Right.
But then immediately, as my brother here did, there's an extension to this case. There are those who are saying that, oh, if the president is allowed to succeed with this one, he will then move on to the Electoral Commission. Well, but many others have said the same thing.
No, but, well,
Many others have
I
said
heard
the
him
same
say
thing.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, this is my position. My position is very clear. If indeed it is true that something has happened at the office of the Chief Justice warranting her removal and she's removed, and there is evidence, clear evidence, that a similar thing or something as weighty as what is happening in the Chief Justice office has also happened in the Electoral Commission, why shouldn't the Electoral Commissioner go home?
Okay.
Why shouldn't she go home simply because the Chief Justice has been removed? You understand?
Right.
So the issue is not whether or not people on the Electoral Commission, especially its chairman, may face similar processes. The issue is whether or not there is conduct which will warrant the triggering of this process.
All right.
Or not. That's the issue.
Okay.
If there is conduct which would warrant it, then it must be triggered. Because I recall that a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and so on, all of us continuously made the point that the impeachment of public officers, those who hold constitutionally designed positions, ought to be done carefully. Otherwise, it will set a precedent. And I remember us making this case very strongly in the Charlotte Osei case. You know, Charlotte Osei and others. We made it so strongly. It was ignored. Now, if some precedent was set, that precedent has been set already. It is not new. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
That precedent has been set already. Now, I recall very clearly that at the time, the argument which was made in support of the president's actions was that the office of the president in matters of this nature only acts as a post office box. That argument was made very strongly.
A conveyor belt.
A conveyor belt. And that when the president receives a petition, he cannot do anything about it but forward it to the Council of State, and then all the actions are triggered. That was the argument which was made. Now, surprisingly, when President Akufo-Addo got a petition against the sitting Chief Justice calling for her removal, he took a decision not to act on it.
Yes.
You understand? So if the earlier position was correct, how come that in the case of the Chief Justice, he did not act? Because in his view, the petition did not have merit. In the president's view, the petition did not have merit.
There was a second reason.
Yeah.
The second reason was that you're talking about the Professor Kwakutv one. He said Professor Kwakutv had made it public, and that in itself was against the rules of the game.
Whatever it is,
yes,
the president could make a decision not to proceed.
Yes.
Earlier we had been told that he had no option but to act.
So your question is which is which?
No, that's not exactly my question. What I'm saying is that if the president acts differently,
all right,
so Charlotte was saying, from his position of the Chief Justice, it does suggest a certain bias. And out of that bias may arise a suspicion of political coloring and so on. Okay, so all these things happened before President Mahama assumed office. Now, my brother here, Honorable Eugene Entry, made the point that the provisions of the Constitution, actually the language of the Constitution says that the president may act, and that it does appear that the president is acting as if the provisions of the Constitution are mandatory. I've taken the trouble to look at Article 146.
10. It's 11. What are 11?
146, 10.
11.
And 11.
I've taken the trouble to look at 146.
Okay.
And if you look at Article 146, may is used only twice in Article 146. It is used in 2, where it says that a justice of the Superior Court of Judicature or chairman of the regional tribunal may only be removed in accordance with the procedures specified in this article. That's the first time may is used. May is also used in 10, where it says, where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may.
It's also used in 11, so 3 times.
Okay, so 3 times, no problem.
Yes,
3 times. The president may, in the case of the Chief Justice, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice and so on. And my attention is drawn to the fact that it's also used in 11, which is correct. So the president may at any time revoke a suspension under this article. That's interesting. Now, if you look at 3, it says clearly, the tribunal, it says that the president, if the president receives a petition for the removal of a Chief Justice of a Superior Court, other than the Chief Justice, or for the removal of the chairman of a regional tribunal, he shall refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall determine whether there's a prima facie case or not. 4, when the Chief Justice decides that there's a prima facie case, he shall, again shall is used. And then 5, the committee appointed under clause 4 of this article shall investigate the complaint and shall make its recommendations to the Chief Justice, who shall forward it to the president. Then 6, where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the president shall, acting in accordance with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of so. So shall is used again. Then 7, the committee appointed under clause 6 of this article shall, again shall, inquire into the petition and recommend. 8, all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera. 9, the president shall, in each case, act in accordance with the recommendations of the committee. And then 10 and 11. So it is clear that some of the president's actions in this matter actually spring from a constitutional obligation. He has no, he cannot, he has no middle way. These are constitutional injunctions on the president, presidential duties imposed on him by the Constitution. So that is very, very clear.
Obviously, for near Kwesi Pratt, and I just watch a chance and we a mere hunyama a share a tree, the ndc4 essay planning. I just kunya a udia and say a Nketia a confirm say the next person I just be in a few honor and you be a say Jean Mensah As and the crew. I just say allegedly a CB Crampway MPP for no. That position no a sensitive position. That position no or more chess and as office no more chess say near me being kui nasa one strength that officer it me cram on mine bo it me din tokwaba it me di sebi cool crampo it me ba because it do election time na Ghana nyina ye di akwhye that office or the ombeka no any be decide say Ghana because we in peace and I see in your peace because if said the majority of Ghanaians can some pay as messy now some decide say or go against the will of the Ghanaians na a idea be we are saying no Ghana for so be acting I react I responded to that actions so that office need the omunya your margin say be Ghana sa because niema omugina so de saki Charlotte say no niema sebi ebeka eni nyina so papa bia that so ya obisi adoye ba one thing beka say that petition now these people can someone kind it was cooked in the Jubilee House and you will be behind the petition by can say oh eniema ABC because they say na the reason why almost Charlotte was saying say it was based on incompetent and misbehavior. Or can someone share a DHS say maybe Charlotte say a misbehavior?